room, you don't have to worry about these state inspections. So let me tell you guys, I'm getting pretty good at this compliance thing because when you're in a licensed facility, then you have to think about what you're licensed for. So let's just, for example, talk about the mental health, behavioral, and disabilities. Then you could have Medicaid could come and do a review, a ombudsman for the rights of the rights of the residents could come in. You might have a person that has case management, and for the big ones here in Cincinnati are Talbert House, um, and Greater DCB, Greater Cincinnati Behavioral, but they could be um, have case management from several different places. Those case managers, because that is their client and my residents, they do have access to the home. You have yearly fire inspections, so the fire chief or fire whomever they send has access to your home. You have, so there are all these different rules and regulations, and so your house can be kind of a revolving door. You have to have good rules and regulations in place for people that are coming into your house that do not live there, the timing of the day, some sign-in sheets, those types of things. But the beauty of that, while it is heavily regulated and is a lot of compliance that goes with it, they are stable long-term occupancy. So I've had some of those guys have been with me 5 and 6 years, and they just don't leave. It's very comfortable. It is their home. They make it their home. Unlike some of the shared housing where I don't have state inspections, but this is what I do. I take the higher standard. And so because I have to have my fire extinguishers checked yearly for my license, I have them checked across the board. So that is something that makes me stand out different from others. While I don't have state inspections, whatever that criteria is how I run my other homes. So it makes it very easy for me to have one standard process that is at a very high level. Um, Again, the unlicensed, very easy to scale, very easy to do, not at all a lack of people who need to have your homes. The other piece of it is doesn't garner as much money. If you don't have Medicaid, if you don't have grant funding, then you're doing your regular rent by the room. So the better your amenities, the nicer your home, the better the neighborhood, the higher dollar amount that you're able to garner for that particular bed or that particular room. So I'm going to stop there and see if there are any questions or anything in the chat. And if not, I will keep going. All right. So this is where I think that it gets really really granular. And again, pad split meaning shared housing. Now, I know a lot of people have been housing providers for a very long time, and they are traditional with the, hey, you pay me once a month and I'm out of your hair, and I don't see you again unless there's a problem. You place a work ticket in, or you call me, whatever your standard of operation is for that. However, it is not unlikely for you to have weekly deposits for by the room strategy. I am a big believer of weekly rent payments. And the reason why is because a lot of the guys either don't budget very well, which is might be why they had a issue in the first place, where they might have a ding on their record. Credit might not be so good, has been a previous eviction. We get to the bottom of that, of course, in the screening. But if you allow somebody the opportunity to pay weekly, not only do you get a little bit more money on your monthly rate, it helps them keep up with things a little better. And then you give them incentive to move to a monthly rate versus a weekly rate. I think I said monthly, a weekly rate. You help them to build rapport and learn how to budget and learn some things, and you give them incentive to do that. For example, I might say my weekly rate is anywhere from $160 to $200 per week, depending on the house, the amenities, and what have you. That is very realistic, guys. So you might say at that 160, if you do the math, and everybody goes 160 times, it's only, let me do 150 for round numbers in my head because I don't have my calculator with me. Most people say, oh, well, that's only $500 a month. And I'll say, no, It's not $500 a month because there are 52 weeks in a month and you have to pay weekly and you're paying 52 weeks. And so actually it's really more than $500 because it's not 4 weeks in every month. So you have to get people over those hurdles. But what I will tell you is that it's 650. You can say, I'll give you 650 a month rent instead of your weekly rate, which is going to be a little bit more than 650. So if you do the math, it comes out that way. I love the built-in screening for it. I have my application is very standard. Here are all my rules and regulations. You could actually, hopefully, fingers crossed, going live on all my platforms where they can actually just go and download the stuff and download an application and download what the actual rules and regulations of the house are, so you don't have to go over that very, very long in your intake. But this is what I like. Technology has enabled me to do this. I'm rocking with Buildium, and they have helped me build out my platform to the nth degree, so that even if I have a licensed onboarding for one of my homes, it will include all of the standard criteria that I would need. And then when my regular co-living pad split person comes on, I just mark those blocks out and it doesn't capture all that information. So I think, had more arguments with Buildium about their capabilities than a little bit, but I got a really good guy that is helping me to onboard, and this thing is going to be super, super, super awesome. So I'm super excited about it. Let's talk about revenue for a second. Any questions on that? Because I kind of glazed over it when I said revenue, when I said tech-based, but there are a whole lot of other things out there that can really help you manage this business, like automated responses to text. Like I said, I'm pretty good at that now. You can send out your updates and letters. All of those can go out via email or text, depending upon what your people like. There are reminders for rent reminders. They can actually, I give people multiple ways to pay their rent. So automation has been very good in that. We're actually testing out Stripe payments. And so Stripe has this ability to set up what I would call a member. It's a subscription. I had to get the words right. It's not a membership. It's a subscription, but it's free to them. But if they subscribe and they pay weekly, then it automatically sends them a notice to pay on a weekly basis. They can go in and they can use their debit card, which is attached to a bank, because right now I don't want for them to use credit cards, but there is a option for that, but it charges you 3-4%, and I'm just not a proponent of that. There is an option if you need it, but that subscription model is pretty beastie. I have it on beta. We're testing it out right now, so those are the exciting things that I'm happy to come back and bring back to the group. So any questions about technology before we move on?
Tiffani, we have one in the chat about how does pad split increase the revenue over the unlicensed shared housing?
Yep. So let me be very clear. When I say pad split, again, I'm talking by the room strategy. I'm talking single room occupancy. I'm talking the pad split that you hold. It's like saying you have a refrigerator in your kitchen, but all the kids call it Frigidaire, but Frigidaire is actually a brand. So pad split is actually a brand. So again, let me take the explanation back to by the room strategy. So if you did not rock with me last Wednesday, then you know, or if you did, then we had a whole hour and a half on what I call bolt-on services. And it shows you how to increase your business model and scale if you are unlicensed and all you have is the room. What we talked about, just really quickly, and I'm happy to, if Deb is going to capture the chat, I'm happy to send the document to anybody that wants it from last week. If you send me the document in the chat, and I'll email that to you. I'm not giving you more work, Deb. I'm just asking you to capture the emails. But we talked about adding, one of my places I added coin laundry. So that's going to give me some revenue. One of my places, proof of concept. So this is one of my places that have 12 guys. I have a vending machine. My vending machine is cheaper than the corner store that they have to walk to when they're tired, and it's stocked full of the things that they like because they told me what they like on the survey that I asked them. So that's another way to bolt on services. I have one gentleman that's working with me that I would say not a student, but definitely an advocate in this field. He does only veteran housing. And so he has a set fee for the veteran housing, but he provides a hot meal. If you want a hot meal, then there's an upcharge for that meal where that you could pay monthly, so he can tell how many meals you're going to get, or you're actually able to buy a plate and it is furnished on site to you. So there are a whole lot of ways that you probably have never thought about bolt-on services. Some of it is affiliate type stuff that you can do that costs you little to no effort and a little bit of just extra time. So I hope that answered the question. And again, I have a whole presentation on it from last week. Actually, it was last Wednesday, and I'm happy to share that with anybody who wants it. Any other questions on that matter? Nothing? Okay. So this, I know the people are from everywhere. So Rob is probably from Chicago looking at this going, traditional rental, $1,100 a month. Like, where are they living? But I just took some average rents from average places. So you guys do the math, and one exit, two exit, if that's what you need to do for your average place. So I'm just saying, let's just say you have a two bedroom home, you might get $1,100. I know it might be a little more, but humor me on this. Your unlicensed shared, you've got 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms. As you can see, it goes up. Your sober living, your I would put sober living in there. I would also put specialty populations in there, like your reentry, sex offenders, developmental disabilities, because they have a tendency to pay more. And then when I say your pad split type, then that would be high end, by the room, nurse finders, those types of things. And so you see there's an upward climb. And then there's one outlier out here. The residential assisted living garners so much more money because it is particularly private pay. And then there's another licensed state, um, what would you call it, certification that you can get, where those rooms or those beds by the bed opportunity is anywhere from $1,600 to about $3,000. And I have one of those licensed facility. I did not put them on here because they are real outliers to just what shared living is, but those opportunities in this space do exist. So I always like to tell people, when you go into shared housing of any kind, don't forget the exit strategy. So I'm going to piggyback off of what Bill said for a moment, because there's an atmosphere out here where people go into shared housing and then they decide that they don't like it anymore. This just isn't the thing for me. I don't like the multiple people, the different personalities in the house. So you always need to keep in mind um, what the exit strategy would be if you don't like it. However, for me, this repositioning model was a wonderful, I'm going to call it, exit strategy from a single occupancy rental of one family into the shared housing business, because I've repurposed one, two, three, four, 7 of my homes that, and I'm not going to call them an underperforming rental. I'm just going to say they were performing as intended, the standard, right? So, for example, my house on Montgomery Road, some of you that are from here may know Montgomery. I have 3 bedrooms, um, and I've transitioned that house from a regular rental $1,300 a month to a shared housing rental, three people in the room that were paying $700 a month to a licensed facility that is now licensed for five individuals that pay a minimum of $1,600 per bed. So if you look at this as a long game, then you take that underperforming rental, you slam bodies in the bed. That you will hear me say that heads in the bed, bodies in the bed all the time. You 1.5 exit or 2 exit, then you decide this other strategy is for me, and then you 4, 5, 6 exit, and that is actually doable in a lot of the spaces. Okay, so in addition to moving an underperforming or just performing rental into shared housing, what that allows for is great cash flow for a whole bunch of reasons. If you're one of the people that don't like the debt, even though I think Vina said George Antone is coming. If you guys haven't looked at your calendar, he'll be here. I think it's June the 13th, maybe the 13th of June, and he talks about leveraging. But if you're a old schooler like me or a heavily risk averse because I'm a retired accidental banker, then I like to have some equity or something to use as collateral for other things. And so it will allow you to pay down your principal a lot faster, or put a lot of money into those cash reserves that we don't have often as housing providers, but is becoming a big thing amongst lenders where they want to see the money and sitting in the bank for you to be able to pay 3 to 6 months of your expenses. It helps you to build that very quickly. And everybody knows that I do a lot of this stuff for legacy transfer. So my mini me is my granddaughter, and there I see Deb smiling. She is my mini me, and she goes with me to all my houses. She knows all of my houses. She knows the people. They know Destiny, and it allows you to really transfer not only housing as a strategy, but it allows you to transfer a whole business. And for me, I put this mission driven in here. Yes, that is a buzz tech word. But for me, I would really say that it has become a ministry in many ways. I know that may be a little off putting, that word, to a lot of people, but the lives that you are able to change. And I'll give you an example of this, not to belabor, this strategy, but I have a gentleman who came to me a- as a reentry client. This gentleman spent 41 years behind bars, and he's in his 70s. So when he went, he was in his early 30s. But imagine, you guys, what was going on 41 years ago. There was no cell phone, there was no texting, there wasn't even a computer. Yeah, we had dot matrix as a printer and CRTs with a green screen and all of these things that I'm dating myself. Yes, I know what they are, but we had all of that. So when he went in, there weren't even cell phones that people could afford to have. There may have been a pager, or what did they call it back then, a beeper, but maybe even not even that. And so this gentleman has learned how to DoorDash, has learned how to, and yeah, does it take a little bit more of my time? It does. Do I answer many more questions that I do? But imagine coming home and nobody, not even know how to do an online application. When he went to the library, when he left, it was the Dewey Decimal System, and it wasn't a computer in the library for you to fill out an online an online resume or application. So this guy has come a long way in the 2 years that he's been with me. And no, I don't dedicate a lot of my time, but it's about a good 15, 20 minutes a week. And it's, hey, Mr. Will, what did you learn today? And it might not even be a conversation. It might just be a text, because he texts now. Are you looking at that? Or here's a reminder to do this. Guys, that is just not mission driven. To me, it is really evolved into a ministry. So I'm going to stop right there and see if there are any questions, thoughts, concerns, comments. Doesn't have to be a question, it could be a comment.
So Tiffani, there was a question earlier in the chat that I was waiting to see if you would kind of cover it. A gentleman asked, I'm looking for it now, if second chance housing, I assume he's kind of referring to reentry housing, would need to be licensed.
No.
Okay, if you
Okay,
want to cover that.
yep, absolutely. So I kind of lump that in with the pad split, shared housing by the room, single room occupancy. It does not need to be licensed. You can license it if you would like to, but there's really no need. When I started second chance housing, it was purely second chance housing. It was the person who had the below 650 credit score, the person that may have had a ding on their credit from a previous eviction, or maybe they didn't make what they tell us in this industry 3 times the amount of the rent. So I was taking a chance on this person to provide them an opportunity to have a clean, safe, quiet, healthy place and a place with some dignity. And so it truly started as that. And then I moved to high barrier clients. High barrier meaning they may have had some mental instability, or they may have been a single mother with a couple of children that didn't quite make enough money. So they were subsidized rent from whatever particular program they were in, but it required more hands-on because the case manager or the housing manager, not just myself, provider, was there once a month to make sure they were adhering to their schedules, or they were in a program to finish school. So it started with that. Then it was a reentry person. And so that moved into me having a reentry population that evolved into reentry with sex offenders that evolved into. So this is an evolution. It does not have to be licensed. And I will tell you, you can do this with even a small home with 3 bedrooms. I have a very small home. It's 1,000 square feet. So one floor. And I have everything in it. It is so cute, but it's so compact. It's got the all-in-one washer and dryer. It's got all these little things that make it really nice. So the bedrooms are the larger of the rooms, but it's a combined living room, dining room, but the guys that are in it, they're old school vets. Can't beat that. That's what they do. So their backyard is really nice. The front porch where they sit and get their sun and their coffee and they listen to their little music in the front is really nice. It's very close to a park, so they can walk to the park. They're not doing a whole lot of push-ups and stuff like that, but they're going to act like they're doing something. They go to the park, they take a walk. It's very close to the community center, so they can go play bingo. They can ride their bike. I got one old school, he rides his bike, but it's within bus distance or walking distance on a very nice day. But if you think about 1,000 square foot home, that's that $1,100 model that we're talking about. That house makes over $2,100 a month. So you see how you can do this and curtail it to a specific group of people. And so I took the long way around to answer your question, whomever that was out there that asked that question. No, you do not have to be licensed.
Okay. It was Nathan. Nathan, I hope that answered it. Otherwise, you can post another question or raise your hand and we'll try and get to that. So, John's bringing up a good point, and I don't know if you want to just cover this. As always, we want to recommend that people, check their local ordinances and whatnot for what's allowed. But do you ever run into issues of your city, your group, your county coming to you and saying, we don't like this being here and you're not actually allowed to do this? And how do you push back against that?
Yeah. So if you look at number 2 right here, it says market and zoning research. Mm-hmm. So that is exactly what you're talking about here. And so Cincinnati in their city does have a ordinance, 3 no more than 3 unrelated people. So define, somebody come off of mute or put in the chat, define related. Now, I am a person that I am a rule follower, but I have been known to do something and challenge it later or ask for forgiveness later. Zoning ordinances will say, I don't do HOA, so let's just put that out of the picture already. I don't mess with HOAs at all. So it doesn't work very well for this business model. However, you will find that there is a lot of legislation out there in various cities, in particular New York, California. Let's see, New York, the city of Nice, California, even in Ohio, there has been legislation to fight against these 2 to 3 people that are able to live in the home that are no more than that are unrelated, because it actually is discrimination. Now, we all know that there's a federal rule that says that you cannot discriminate against a protected class. Again, that's your seniors, your mental health, substance abuse, behavioral, veterans, aging population. All of those are going to be protected class. Developmental disability, and a few others. So I never worry about that population if that's the model that I decide to use. But for the others, if the room allows, then I just go ahead and put them in there. Now, I'm very open in the neighborhoods that of who I am and what I do. I attend neighborhood meetings. I don't. Oh, let's be quiet. I don't want anybody to find out. No, I'm all over the place talking about this, so people know where my houses are. Only one time have I been challenged on this, and when I did, it was not very hard at all for me to explain to them what I was doing and why. Again, we have a housing crisis. And so what you're saying is that your antiquated, very old relic type laws are supposed to be in full effect for the person that you're saying doesn't qualify for any housing. So the shelters are overran. There's already, and I'm going to speak specifically to Cincinnati right now, there are already ordinance about people living under the bridge, that actually being homeless is a crime in certain areas. And so you're coming to me, a housing provider that has solved an issue for 5 individuals: clean, safe, quiet, affordable, attainable, healthy living. So I don't have rats like in New York. It's not mold infested, mildew. The houses are kept up to date with modern appliances and those types of things. So because you have a very old ordinance, you really want for me to do what? Displace these people? Is that okay? Then say I displace them. Do you have a place for them? Where are they going to go? But that's a Tiffani Ray thing, guys. And I will stand in the gap for anybody in any one of my houses that is threatened to be misplaced. Because again, we all learned in elementary school Maslow's hierarchy of needs. At the very beginning of that triangle is shelter and food. So even if you don't subscribe to a housing choice model, I would challenge anybody that brings that zoning regulation up to me. Where do you want them to go? That's
And I'll just add 2 things to that. One, there is a case at the Ohio Supreme Court right now that our good friend Maurice Thompson from the 1851 Center for Constitutional Law is fighting right now. We are awaiting. He has presented his case. It was I can't remember if this was the January or the February one. We're waiting for the Supreme Court to answer, which directly relates to unrelated persons in a home. So we're hoping if the Ohio Supreme Court comes down with a favorable ruling, then that will sort of supersede a lot of this. And secondly, as Tiffani was saying, you can a lot of times get your local city governments at least to be an advocate on your behalf. If you use the right words, if you're using their lingo kind of back to them. And so, you can say we're having a housing crisis. We are providing, high barrier people, affordable housing. This is the bread and butter that they get elected on. And so when you go and prove that you're doing good for that community, then they can actually be an advocate for you within, if there's like a neighborhood, sort of pushback sort of thing. The other part of that is to make sure, as Tiffani was saying, make sure you're on your game. Make sure your places are clean. Make sure that your people are behaving. Make sure you're not getting a bunch of police runs. You know, you gotta be on your game to make sure you're a good neighbor in that neighborhood. But yeah, I agree with you on that. So
Yeah,
okay.
and that's why I go to my neighborhood community meetings first, because I let them know this is who we are, this is what we do, and I'm looking to raise a home for this particular population in your backyard. And I want to see the looks on people's face. I want to see if I'm going to get that not in my backyard, or well, what is this going to be about? And then I give them reference. You know, I have a house here, I have a house there. It doesn't have any complaints. You may have seen me on, or this is what I do in my homes. Here are my rules and regulations. They're all in compliance with state regulatory agencies. So I govern them this way. So I'm able to say a lot of good things about it. And again, guys, even down to the fire prevention in my homes, not only because there's really no requirement for you to have fire extinguishers, but I do. Even before Inspire came along saying the fire the smoke detector should be in every room. And Deb will tell you this. I was like, nope, we're putting them in every room. Like even before it was a thing, we had fire smoke detectors in every room. I have ADT monitoring. And so the ADT monitoring is not the security for the people that live in the house, because there are cameras all over the place. But the ADT monitoring is because I'm protecting the asset. So if somebody does cook and fall asleep, great, the fire alarm is going to get them out, the smoke detector, but it's not going to protect the asset. It's not going to. So a ADT monitoring is going to call the fire department. Also, if there is an incident in your home, everybody knows how to use there's a panic code that everybody gets that they're able to use. If there's an incident, they can press the button and call paramedics, fire, or police. The police, in particular, in my West Price Hill area, they know me because I've had some incidents, but they know me, and I introduce myself to them if they're not at the not city council meeting, the neighborhood council meeting. I introduce myself to them so that when they come to my home, they know there's posted placards on my home that says, this is a shared housing. If there's an incident, please call. And then my number is there. So I'm not hiding at all. Mm-hmm. So I hope that answers, give some more flavor or color too. Anything else out there for that?
I think that covers the current question. So why don't we take a look at your action plan here?
Yeah. So the action plan, this is a 90-day schedule to launch. And I just laid it out a different way. But those of you, like I said, that rock with me on the second Wednesday of the month for shared housing, you know I love homework, period. After each one of our sessions, there is homework. So you already know that when I talk about shared housing, I tell you, find your model, decide what you're going to do and the population, because you want to build excitement for your new home. You want to build that list of people that are going to come to your new home. You do a proof of concept before you even put it there. I'm in the neighborhoods. I'm letting people know. I'm calling the areas or the non-for-profits that support that particular area. Hey, we're going to have a house in this. It's going to have 5 bedrooms. I'm going to do males only, females, co-ed, whatever you're doing, veterans, whomever population, and you're going to get excitement around that model. So before you even get going, you do a proof of concept. That could look like Zillow rents. That could look like Craigslist. That could look like whatever. And you're going to say, coming soon, 5 bedrooms, shared housing, X amount of dollars. So that's going to tell you if your rent price for that model is too high, or if you need to bring it down a little bit. But it is proof of concept, and your coming soon makes it not a lie. So you're telling the truth. It's coming soon. You don't have to give the win, but it is your proof of concept. You're going to look at your zoning. Of course, most places are they going to be yay or nay what the house is zoned for, whether it's commercial. I do have some houses that are zoned mixed use. That makes it very easy to do. Then it's going to be the property setup. When I first started, I used to furnish all my rooms. Don't do that anymore. I have 1 or 2 rooms that are furnished. A lot of guys will come, they will have furniture vouchers from Goodwill, St. Vincent de Paul, or they're eligible for them. They may even come with their own items, and then you'll decide what you will allow, the amount of possessions, people's possessions, because that might be all they have in their life, guys. So you think, well, I don't want them to come with all this junk. Okay, limit it. But remember, if you're transitioning because you're high barrier, or you come from a shelter, or you come from reentry, you may have gone to a halfway house and you may have been there for a month, or you might have you transitioned from a shelter. If I have 2 bags of clothing, or if I have 3 things, that's all I have. You have to look at it from their lens. Those are their possessions. That's all they have. They're going to guard those things with their life. So find a way to meet them in the middle. And then there's some people that were displaced out of their apartment and they have a whole house, but you can't fit all of that in there. So you could tell them you may bring these many things to fill the room. You're going to, of course, screen your residents. My screening does include a background check. I have 2 hard no's, and that is arson and sex offense with a minor. I just don't take them. There are people that do, and God bless you, but those are hard no's for me. And then find a way, a system that works for you, even if it's a very robust Excel spreadsheet, to be able to track what people are paying and to keep a hold of a track of what is going on in that particular property. These milestones right here will get you started. I would say if you've identified a property. Now, if you haven't identified a property, you might add another 30 days onto this. But again, guys, you don't have to buy the house. It could be a lease, a master lease property. It could be one that you repurpose, which is how I got started, or it could be one that you simply purchased, a fix and flip. I think I saw John Hayes on here. He does the 100% financing. You could get in there, you could turn that sucker, especially if it's just cosmetic, lipstick on the pig, because you want to rent ready, not Taj Mahal. And you can do that inside 60 days, 90 days while you're doing your rehab. At that day 30, you're already deciding who you want in there. You're already calling your not-for-profits to get people lined up. You're already doing your proof of concept. Then you're setting up your property at day 60, between 60 and 75, and you've got your first tenant. As soon as the bathroom is done, a room is done, the kitchen is done, put your first person in. Do not delay. Pardon my dust would be the sign that they would see for me, and I would be working around people while I continue to improve that property. And guess what? I bet you they won't mind. What else? Thoughts, concerns, opposition?
So I have a question, Tiffani.
Yeah.
What made you think you'd be really good at this? What did you realize you had some sort of character trait, or was it just a desire, or was it just a, hey, we'll give it a shot? Or, did you have a moment that you went, you know what, I think I'd actually be really good at this?
No, that is not at all how it happened.
Okay.
Just very much like I was an accidental banker for 33 years. I became a accidental shared housing provider because I purchased the property for a fix and flip, decided that I didn't like the fix and flip thing at all, but I did it. It was like the 3rd one under my belt, and the property was actually on the market. It wasn't selling for what I wanted. I decided to rent the house. Then they built condos next to it, and I was like, okay, I'm going to keep this, and I'm going to do a cash out refi, and I'm going to do something else. And the people decided that they didn't want to live next to the condo, so they moved, and I decided to look and see whatever else is it that I could do with this house. And somebody called me for a room. They called me to rent, and I said, you know what, I can rent you a room. And it worked. And so then I slammed other people in there, and then I was like, well, you know what, this is not a bad strategy. I kind of like this. And I think that was like, what, 2017 or something like that. Maybe 2017, something like that. And then I was like, well, there's extra money in group home. Maybe I'll do that. And it was just a snowball effect. But the thing that I will say and preach that I know that I'm really good at is compliance and dotting my I's and crossing my T's. So the regulatory piece was there. So I know how to follow the rules, or I know how to talk around the language. So I think that was very helpful. And the years that I spent in banking, I know how to collect money. So I never had an issue with that. And because you have so many multiple personalities, if you do not have a good system in place for collections, that could be a albatross around your neck or a downfall in this business. So I did not have a problem with that part. And I still don't have a problem with that part. So I think that was very helpful. So for those of you out there that have a hard time asking for the money or show me the money, get you a person that can be your hammer, and that will allow you to be the velvet glove. But no, I didn't know if I was going to be good at it at all, because you know I'm pretty no nonsense. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I think that's a good trait. I mean, I think that's kind of where I was going. You're tough. You're no nonsense. But I like what you said there. Not if if you're shy, if you're kind of on the quiet side, or if you struggle to. She didn't say don't do this. Did
that's
you
right.
catch that? She
That's
said
right.
go get you a person who can do that one part of the job. Okay. So, which is very important for all of us to remind ourselves of. So that was great.
It's either
Colleen
that
had
or find your avatar. So
a
you can, what do they call it? The kids call it now cosplay. So
Mhm.
if you want to cosplay a character, find your avatar. Oh, I know, right? I'm all like anime type stuff. So if you want to find your avatar and that works for you, then you can do this. So I have a new avatar. Her name is Korra, and she's the last Airbender. And so find your avatar and
There
then
you go.
pretend. I see Nicole crack it up,
Just
and then
put
be
that
that
helmet on,
person, put
right?
the helmet
Yeah.
on, right, and go be Cora, and then go collect your money. So,
Go knock some knees. Yeah.
yep, there you
So
go.
Colleen had a question. She said, how do you market a small room in a house? Do
So,
I don't know what qualifies as
yeah,
small. Let's
yep,
say
yep, yep,
400 square,
yep. Nope, nope.
Yeah.
So that's really good. I like that. So at first, I called them my postage stamp rooms, because that's what they remind me of. They were just like, big enough for a bed, and then here's a nightstand, and you put your TV on the wall. There's a window and a lamp. Like it is. So when I first started, Colleen, it was one size fits all, because I couldn't manage. This room is 150 a week. This one's 175. This one over here is 200, but that one, I couldn't. It was one size fits all. Then when I figured out that somebody would pay that for the postage stamp, I was like, oh, that's going to be the rent for that. And these rooms are larger. So as they turned, when I would get somebody to leave, then I would increase it. And so I knew that was going to be my base income. Now, if you have a house that's brand new, that can be your transition room. If you could tell a person, and I do this with all of my guys. So they have the ability to move to a larger room in the same place, first come, first serve. So if somebody leaves, then they will know, even if it's not a larger room, they just like that side of the house better than this side of the house, or whatever, wanted to be in the middle or the end. Then I always offer first dibs to the house that's there by seniority. But they can also move to other places because they like those places or those neighborhoods better. But if I have a small room, then I say, these are your accommodations. And this room is set up for you to be able to transition into something as those rooms become available. And because it is much smaller, I've cut you a break on the rental. The rental is X, as opposed to some of the other rooms. Now, I don't ever give out my top rent. I will always say starting at 150, starting at 160, starting at 675. So that way you never block yourself in. Because if somebody is a super high barrier person, now again, you have your rental criteria, but think about this. They've had multiple evictions, or they were problematic, or a behavioral, you might require them to pay more, or more of a security deposit, because they are a higher criteria. Now, barrier client, but remember, you have to document and log that. so that you don't get accused of being unfair. So make sure that you have that clearly lined out. But it's just like when people would say, well, I'll give you first month and last month rent, or I could give you double security deposit. But people kind of frown on that. So you can say, well, I need the security deposit and I need a non-refundable fee of X. So there's all kinds of ways to do this, but never box yourself in. Does that answer your question, Colleen? Maybe so. If it didn't, come off mute and ask me more.
I was actually asking for a friend. She has a vacant, like she does unfurnished rooms, and it's like a really small room.
Yep.
And it's in an awkward place in the house and the whole gamut, and she just cannot seem to get it rented for nothing. I'm pretty blessed. I've got 7 rooms and I got 7 guys. So
yeah. Maybe we can chat with her and throw some things around for her to do it. But it's definitely boutique. So make that her point of entry and tell her to heavily reduce it just to get somebody in there.
yeah, I've made those suggestions.
Yeah, reduce it or a specific population of person that she may not have thought about might be the right fit for that. Maybe.
Yeah, she's just been into reentry, so she's hoping that'll work.
Oh, by far. You get the probation and parole. Yeah. And somebody they're going to be happy not to be on a cot somewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
But I like the idea of not just saying, okay, well, here's your room, and yes, it's small. It's here's your starter room.
That's right.
And we would love to move you up as you prove, your reliability, and so that kind of takes the sting out of, some of the negatives of things. It's all about framing. So that, that's good. It's all about framing that. So,
I'm going to suggest that to her.
Yeah. Dave asked, how do you handle security deposits in an area where most rooms are advertised as no security deposit?
Yeah, I'm not a security deposit person. When I first started, it was definitely a security deposit, and it was not the amount of the rent, the amount of the monthly rent. Let me get that right. It was a portion of it. Now it is a administrative setup fee that is the same across the board, and it is non-refundable. And I just don't even worry about the security deposit. Now, I say that tongue in cheek because most people think about security deposit because people are going to do damaging or there's something that's going on. Understand that absolutely monthly I'm in my homes, but maybe even more so than that. So if there's something that's going on, I'm going to know relatively quickly. And so I don't really care about the security deposit. I don't want to deal with rhino insurance. I don't want to deal with somebody saying, well, you discriminated against me because I couldn't pay the whole thing, or you didn't offer this insurance. Here's the fee. It's not refundable. What I will let you do is pay that fee over a couple of payments if I need to do that. But it is absolutely 100% non-refundable, and I don't even do a security deposit anymore.
Do you find a lot of the agencies that you work with have no problems with it? They'll just pay the fee?
They just pay it.
They don't question or anything?
They don't. They just pay it.
So that leads to a question from Tanya, who says, who do you tell that you have rooms for reentry? So I assume
everybody.
Are you going just to agencies that you've worked with and are aware of? Are you looking up nonprofits? Are you posting on Facebook?
Yeah, I hardly do any posting on Facebook anymore. Most of my stuff is word of mouth and referral at this particular point. But understand, I've been doing it for a long time.
Tell them your wonderful thing on your car.
Oh, my sign. Yeah. So I have a sign. You know what? I do not. Somebody can borrow the sign from me. I don't even put it on my truck anymore. If you put a sign on your car, truck, or whatever that says, I rent houses or I rent rooms, you will get calls all day, all night, every day, from all walks of life. More calls than you can actually take. So I had 2 magnets. I got 2 magnets, and I put them on my car. And I think that lasted 3 months. That was about 3 months.
You were overwhelmed.
I was overwhelmed and with calls. It was a bright idea. It was one of my bright ideas. I'm just going to get a magnet and put. It's stuck to my deep freezer as a magnet on the deep freezer. Yep. Nope. So if somebody wants to borrow it, I'll happily lend it to you, but it's got my phone number. So I'm just joking, but that worked. But listen, again, when I give you homework, I tell you to pick your population, and then I tell you to look at buzzwords. You're going to look at, if you're looking for reentry, you're going to look up reentry. And then what's going to pop up is going to be all of the reentry centers. Then we have a place here in Cincinnati, Volunteers of America. Your shelters are going to pop up. Your YMCAs are going to pop up. Your YWCAs are going to pop up. Then programs are going to pop up. So, for example, if you're in Cincinnati, I think the first, what is the fourth? The meeting on the 4th, a program, Strategies to End Homelessness. Tiffani Gilrich is going to come and speak, and her program is called Rent Connect. And they are a program that actually has high barrier residents, and they have a shared housing component. If you're in OREIA, there's a gentleman, and his name escapes me, but they are the sister to Strategies here that's in Columbus. They're going to come and they're going to be the speaker for that in-person meeting. So you're going to meet people that actually move in this area. So I connected with any places that shelters. I connected with, okay, I didn't get in trouble, but I took my flyers and I stuck them on car windows at the hotels, the ones that are like extended stays and those, because there are people in there that are paying, and they can't afford to continue to pay $225, $250 a week. You're offering it for less. Even if you're at $185 a week, it's less than $225 a week. I stole plenty of their clients. I just, hey, it says no, no trespassing, but I just put them on there anyway. And they'll run you off and then you just come back. It's just like bandit signs for wholesalers. They throw your sign in the trash, you go put another sign up, right? That's exactly same thing. So I'm telling any and everybody what I do, who I am, what I do, period. Anywhere you go.
Like you said, it becomes word of mouth. You put out a good product, you follow through on your promises, you're good to your clients, and you won't have to advertise. Those people will start coming to you. There is a never-ending population of this that needs this. So we're gonna take a quick second. I'm gonna plug Tiffani here. If you've enjoyed what she has talked about, if you are thirsty for more information, she will be one of our featured speakers at the National Real Estate Summit this fall. For those of you who have not been, it's an amazing 4-day event in Mason, Ohio, just north of Cincinnati. It's the first-ish weekend of November. And the price, we have early bird pricing that is still going on for about maybe just another couple weeks here, actually. So if you haven't signed up yet, highly recommend you go on and do that now. Make sure you get your hotel rooms now. Those that block books out. Nicole has put the link in the chat there. So Tiffani is going to have a full 90 minutes, I believe, to cover, and we'll be doing some more of this and more detailed, and probably have all that information. So, and then Tiffani, do you want to go on and plug a little bit your Wednesday evening Zoom, or how do they get on that? You kept referencing that. Is there something special for them to do?
It is. It is on the calendar. I think it's on OREIA, Ren. I'm gonna Kathy's in
North Carolina. Okay.
It should already be on everybody's calendar to sign up, and it's just the second Wednesday of the month, and we take it topic by topic, and I always allow for people to ask questions about where they are in their business, or if it's relevant, or tangential to them being able to get their business started. So there's an opportunity, and Mary is on here, Wester from Ren. She is my co-facilitator at that particular event, and it happens on the second Wednesday of every month. And again, we're embarking upon our Business Builder series. So we've talked about how to build your business, multiply your houses. We talked about bolt-on services. We're going to be having our safety series coming up soon, which will include insurance. Bill Pulte is going to come and present. We have an Ask an Attorney, Ben, and then we have accounting practices to make sure that you're taking advantage of all of the write-offs that you have available. And then I know that Scott Ellsworth does that for us, but a lot of people that are on here bring great information to bear. I think even the last time we talked about that, Rob told us about something that may even apply as it would in a short-term rental. And so everybody has a lot of information to make sure that your business is up and started and avoid pitfalls and run profitably with as much safety around that business as possible. So I appreciate the opportunity for a plug. Again, I know we're running up against time. I do want to allow for questions, but you guys can, we've covered a lot of these things, and I always make there was my Rhea, you beat me. It was my next page, but it's okay.
You have a nice, beautiful slide for it. Nicely done.
Thank you. Well, that's okay. It is at OREIA.com, and these slides will be available. I don't know how you make them available, Deb, but I will for sure send them to you. And again, if they're
if you want to send it to me, guys, we always put our recordings up at our YouTube channel, and then I will actually send a link send an email with the link to the YouTube, as well as the slides and the extra document you were talking about. So we'll send that out to everybody who registered a little bit later this week.
Okay, fantastic. I love it. Okay. And so I know that they get credits for this. So I saw that this one was a learning opportunity. So there will be a credit if you're a housing provider, and I think I finally got my badge for that, although I had a designation for a long time. And then I do want to make sure that you guys stay connected with Sunday Sit Downs. There's some good topics forthcoming. And then I want to give an opportunity for any questions in the audience, or comments, or thoughts for the last 10 minutes of the meeting. Come on, don't be shy. Don't be shy.
Have you ever dealt with an organization that you're like, nope, I don't ever want to do this again?
Yes.
Or a particular population that you're like, that one's just not for me?
Ah, such a loaded question.
I know. Sorry. And it could just be personal,
Or organizations, yes. And here's why. When you're first getting started, a lot of the organizations will pay for the first month's rent or whatever, and so it'll be, you didn't fill out your W-9 correctly. The name on your house doesn't match the name on yours. Okay, well, all of mine are LLC, right? That kind of thing. And so the person is in there for 6 weeks, and I don't have any money. So you have to make sure that you're very methodical about onboarding somebody, and when you're actually going to get the money. Not the check is in the mail, I need that ACH, or I need for you to send it this way. I'm going to send you an invoice, and you're able to pay it from your debit card from your company or whatever. But that has made me not take people from certain agencies. It takes you too long to process funds. I'm not a fan of that, especially if I'm doing you a solid by getting somebody in immediately. Then, hey, here's the paperwork you need, cut the check. I'll even meet you to come and get it. You know what I mean? So we can get this process started. Population, yes. Many of you know, and I've mentioned multiple times, that I am not a fan of the women population in this. I have women residents that occupy my condos, my single families, but from a shared housing perspective, I don't like them. My personality is a little too matter of fact. So I find that you hurt my feelings.
You hurt the feelings. Yeah, I was just going to say that. Okay.
Yeah, you hurt my feelings. You're being mean to me. No, I'm telling you what you don't want to hear, because it's really the truth, and this is what's going to happen. And it's just in a very matter of fact kind of way. And so I have a tendency to get along with the guys better. They don't tend to wear their feelings on their sleeves. And like if they smell, you can say that and not worry about the flowery language of your hygiene is not the best right now. You should probably go take, dude, I smell you over here. Like put some water and soap on, and they don't care. So I'm cool with that.
No,
But it
yeah.
takes all sorts. But the
Yeah.
women
Well,
that's
and that's one of those things where it's always find out what your strengths are. How do you
right.
communicate? Where do you feel comfortable? The nice thing about shared housing is there's such a variety of populations that you can serve. I'm sure you can find one that matches
Oh,
your
absolutely.
strengths and weaknesses,
You
that
you
you match up with.
you
So,
name it, you can do it. Think about it, guys. There could be only artists, maybe people that are
mhm.
starving artists, and that's who you. I mean, there could be, you know, I think what's his face? Rocky did LBGTQIA. It could be only granny pad. It could be but it could be whomever your heart's desire that you want to work with. There's a place for this in shared housing, so you can figure out who you like, and if you don't like them, you can send them over to somebody else's place. I filled a many rooms moving people out of my place that I did not want to serve anymore. So I never just, unless I need to uh, enforce an eviction of a person for whatever, they broke a house rule, they, stole, fought, whatever, didn't pay rent. If I will find a place for them to go.
Nice.
Mhm.
That leads, well, not that, but the comment just before leads me into Nicole's question was, how do you advertise without fair housing concerns? Like, how do you say, oh, this is just going to be for starving artists? Or how do you say, oh, this is just for this particular population? Do you run into fair housing issues or, are you allowed to do that as long as it's not protected classes or?
So protected class is much easier. I go ahead and run it anyway. I have said before that um, starving artists preferred if you really want to put flowery language around it, but you know that that's who you're going to rent to. So I'm just saying, cut to the chase and do what you want to do. I mean,
Mhm.
if you were doing a house hack in your home and you decided to rent a room, I'm pretty sure you can decide who you want to rent. Okay, so the same in my mind, even though you might say, well, you're discriminating against me. Okay, so the man with the female, this is why I don't do co-ed. I don't feel as if I can protect or adequately protect a female in an all male home.
Mhm.
And so it's not worth the risk to me. So, and I explain, the why, and I try to help them find some place. Might I run into something eventually? It's a possibility, but
Okay.
I definitely have an explanation that's pretty hearty before I do it. Dave asked, "Are all my rooms single occupancy?" Yes, they are right now. In the recovery sober living that I am about to open, that will be double occupancy in my larger rooms because they're on a program. They are court referred. So in our home is one of the court appointed homes. So they're going to be in a 3 month or a 6 month program. So this is not their forever home. And so I know that it's going to be very transitional. And so, yes, I've got dividers up in those places so that they don't have to smell each other's toe jam, because I think that's very important for you to be able to have your own space. So, yeah.
John asked, how do you feel about Section 8? I assume with regards to, do you take it for your shared housing? I don't know if they have a
So
program that works
they
with that or
they
not.
they do have a program. It is very difficult to get the people at the housing choice voucher to even understand the program. If you look it up, it is a government funded and approved thing. Um, Shared housing is approved by the government. So I do have some veterans that I've been very successful with on HUD VASH, which is also governed by Section 8,
Mhm.
and they pay for the room. But getting North North, yeah, somebody, Damon just said New Jersey does
New
Section 8
Jersey.
for SI.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do. It's approved. It's federal, so it's
Okay.
approved. But getting the people that work there to understand what you're doing and getting them to figure out how to do it. The first veteran that I ever got to do it for Section 8, it took me almost 5 months. 5 months to get all the paperwork together, and you're really educating them on something that's available. So,
Now,
um,
I will just step in. That may be true across the board, but I will caveat that Cincinnati's public housing authority is difficult to deal with no matter what. So
anyway,
you
I
may
agree.
be in an area that your public housing
Okay.
authority is actually much easier to deal with. So you may have a much different experience for that. Or if someone in the area, like in New Jersey, has already done it, then they're familiar with it. But we are historically in Cincinnati at a disadvantage with our public housing authority, no matter what. So yeah. Okay. So they do have a program. It's just it can be time consuming getting it through. But okay. Do you still use that program? Have you had success with it, or okay,
Yeah.
now that it's in place? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You just pray to somebody that the people that understand it don't retire or quit or leave and go someplace else, because then you're starting all over again, like sweet Lord. So yeah, what I'm finding is coming up in that is that so when strategies comes on next Thursday or Thursday after next, you will find that there are places that will pay for by the room, but what they're trying to back you into is fair market rate for the place. And that's not something I'm ever going to do. So, if the rent at your place only garners $1,500, then you might have 3 rooms, and the max is that you're going to get be on that program is $1,500. Yep, nope, not for Tiffany. So you don't get to dictate to me what my as long as I have a if as long as the person that's coming on the program is the first or second person in a 3 bedroom, then you're good. Because then you can do what you want with
That's
your other
funny.
room. Right. So there's a way to play this, but you just have to be savvy about it. What is the typical square footage of one of my share house? Oh, Rob, some of my rooms are, standard bedroom, 8 by 7. And then I have some that are, you could fit a small couch and a TV and a little table, and it just depends on the house, because the older houses, the rooms are just gargantuan size. They're huge. So of course if it's on the first floor and the room is that large, you get a larger base pay. I have one guy that's on the first floor of my home at Fairmount. He has a model train set, and it's built in his room. So and I mean, like, it's a whole model train set, so that they can give you a good idea of the size of. It's like somebody's living room is the size of the room. Yeah.
Hey, Tiffany, I was thinking of, let's just say you had a square footage size house you're looking for, regardless of room count, because you and your team might add walls to increase the
Absolutely.
rooms. So therefore, maybe someone that might want to find something to help you, or someone else that wants to get in shared housing, could look for a certain square footage and then give it to you and let you put, the rooms into it.
Yeah. So that has happened. I can put a bedroom where you never even thought there should be a bedroom, because that's I can see it. And even, I don't think Dwayne is on. I don't think my husband's on, but he'll be like, I don't see a bedroom there, and I'm like, just trust me on this. Let me draw it out on chalk, and then it is, oh my God, there's a bedroom. It looks really good. So, but again, if you have a very small house, this does work for small homes, and you're repositioning, or repurposing those homes. Like, for example, I know John Hayes, he's on here. He always talks about those 2-1s. Well, I have this thing for every 3 to 4, you need another bathroom. But even in a 2-1, I bet you I could make that 2-1 a 3-1, and it still could work in that house based on the population and where you are. I like the great big houses, and I like the small ones. When I first started this, I would only go after the homes that had already 5 and 6 bedrooms. So, and then I could repurpose the other rooms that were commonplace, like a living room or something like that, into a bedroom. But now I find that because this strategy is catching on, and depending on the population you service, Rob, it doesn't, the house doesn't matter anymore. I can have a 2 bedroom that I'm doing co-living, and it's like over the top gorgeous, where I would normally be getting $1,500, and those people will pay me $1,000 a month for the room, because I've got the Keurig in it, and it's got all high end stuff, and it's got, the air purifiers on the side of the room. There's a little place for your magazines on the side. This thing works, period, across the board. And I would not have said that 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay. Well, I think that is good. We're right at 9 o'clock. John, those are some beautiful pictures you put up in there. So, and thank you all very much for joining us tonight. Again, I'm going to encourage you to come see Tiffani at the National Real Estate Investors Summit in November. Tiffani, as well as probably 20 other speakers and dozens of vendors, and myself will be at an OREIA table. So we would love to have you all there, and 700 to 800 different investors, and just the learning in the classroom and the conversations in the hallways and in the extra after hour activities is just fantastic. So if you've never been, definitely come. If you've been before, come and make a great deal and see all your wonderful friends there. So thank you very much. Like I said, we will get you the slides and the recording and the chat and the extra documents out later this week. And if you have a chance, stop into Columbus, make sure you register at OREIA.com. And we will see you at Day at the Capitol in Columbus to engage with our legislators and make sure that we are telling them about all the good shared housing that's going on, and that they can help support that in their communities, and so that we don't run into any zoning and occupancy issues, and make housing affordable for those who truly need that option. So thank you very much for your time, Tiffani. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise, and you all have a wonderful Sunday evening.
Good night. Good night. Thanks.
Thank you, Tiff.